Hello aspirants, welcome you all to Daily Current Affairs Analysis of Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 25th of May 2025. A lot of aspirants are going to appear for the examination today. All the very best for all the aspirants. Give your best in the examination hall. So with that note, let us look into the list of articles that we are going to discuss today. In this first article, we will be discussing about BSK, Bharat Seva Kendra. In the second article, we will be discussing about how hailstorms has been formed. Third article, we will be discussing about Miyawaki Forests and the importance of it. Fourth article, we will be discussing about Maoism from the Mains perspective. And finally, we will be discussing in detail about the recent spike in COVID-19 cases. So without any delay, let us get into the first news article discussion. Now look at this news article. According to the news article, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of India, CCI India in short called us. So it has said Bharat Seva Kendra, BRK, is helping to bridge the urban-rural divide by bringing essential services at the doorstep of every citizen. So this is why Bharat Seva Kendra is in news. From prelims perspective, we have to learn about the basics about this. So let us start with what is this Bharat Seva Kendra. See, this CCI is actually a private company. So they have initiated this particular initiative very recently, and the main aim of this initiative is to bridge the gap between the government and the citizens. So they bridge the gap by providing access to the essential services, which includes financial assistance, then healthcare, education, digital empowerment, employment and agricultural support. So they are covering diverse sectors and they are giving direct access and they are bridging the gap between the government services that are already available to the citizens. So this is actually a collaborative effort between the central government as well as the state government. So here there are certain key features of the scheme that we have to note about. First thing is the comprehensive service delivery, as I said. Here all the sectors will be covered in a one go. Secondly, there is local representation. So if there is a service center, then there will be a person who is taking care of the service center who is called as Sarthis. This Sarthi is nothing but a local representative. So here going and asking doubts about a particular scheme or a service becomes very easier when the person is from the local area. Thirdly, the main feature is that it is digital and physical access. There is physical access. See, since the process is more digital and it is platform oriented, people, they don't require to navigate through different and complex bureaucratic processes. The process will be very simpler, the process will be very easier and very faster and efficient. And finally, this will bring in lot of empowerment as well as inclusion. So rural areas are the basic pillars that we have to develop. So since these physical centers are being placed in the rural areas, people will be empowered with the available government services. So they will be built self-reliant and economically sustainable communities. So this will not only stop there, it will bring lot of inclusion as well as reduce the inequalities which is rooted in the rural areas. So seen about the basic features of this particular BSK. Now let us move on to the key advantages of BSK. See, first thing is last mile delivery. Nobody will be left out in this particular BSK program, which means everyone will be covered, greater inclusivity. Secondly, single window access. Since the program is comprehensive, meaning all the sectors is covered, it is a single window access. So whatever kind of services a person is required, they can go to this BSK. Thirdly, rural empowerment. People will be developing into self-sustaining communities. Fourthly, doorstep services. So once the registration process is done, the end result will be receiving through letters in the doorstep. So this is what they call by doorstep services. So people, they don't require to visit offices, government offices very often. And there is public as well as private collaboration. This will ensure effectiveness. And finally, there is digital inclusion. This will help in increasing digital divide that is already there between the urban as well as rural areas. So these are the important facts that you have to remember with respect to this article. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. According to the news article, DGCA has said that Indigo flight has denied entry in Pakistan airspace in between a hailstorm. So here I have mentioned about the incident in wordings. You can pause the video and read it. The incident is not very much important, but learning about hailstorms from the mains as well as prelims perspective is very important. So let us learn about what is hailstorms. See, hailstorms are nothing but thunderstorm with hailstones. So here comes the question, what is a thunderstorm? See, thunderstorm is nothing but when a air parcel gets heated up, the warm and moist air, it rises up in the atmosphere. Over the period of time, what happens? There will be an updraft and there will be a downdraft. And the climatic condition or the weather condition around this system, it will be very intense. There will be rain. There will be static electricity due to the development of cumulonimbus clouds. Due to static electricity forming, there will be thunder as well as lightning. So all these are combined when a thunderstorm occurs. So when this thunderstorm becomes hailstorm is that the updraft becomes very heavy. So what happens when the updraft becomes very heavy is that the rain droplets, it will be moved even upper to the atmosphere level where there is freezing cold temperature. So what happens? The rain droplets, it will start to freeze. So even the frozen droplets, rain droplets, it will be very tiny. So the updraft will keep moving the raindrops. So what happens is it will grow, since it is going a higher height, it starts to grow bigger in size. So this hailstones over a period of time, if it is very tiny like this, after a lot of updraft happening, the ice will be growing to a very big size. So once this big size is obtained, then the updraft cannot push these stones even more higher. So this is when the gravity comes in act, and due to the lack of the updraft force, the gravity will pull the stones down. So this is how the hailstones are actually created, and the hailstorm is actually processed from a thunderstorm. So this is what the story is about. Now let us quickly go through what are all the key facts that you have to remember. So these hailstones or ice balls, the size varies from small pellets to cricket balls, and it can damage crops, vehicles as well as buildings, and even it can lead to loss of lives. Now moving on, talking about the favorable condition, firstly there must be a cumulonimbus cloud, then there should be stronger updraft, there should be low freezing level, and there should be moist as well as unstable air. Instability will bring in rainfall. Now moving on, how hailstorms are formed. As I said, it is a very simple process where the updraft will be there, and where they will be reaching, the particle will be becoming a very larger hailstone. You can see that here. And once the particle are very big, then the updraft cannot work on them. They will lose the control over it, and they will come down to the earth in the form of hailstones. So this is how hailstones are created. Now based on the things we have discussed, I have created a prelims question for you. Hailstones are formed due to which of the following processes? Here 4 different options are given. First one says sublimation of water vapor. No. Second statement says freezing of super cold water droplets. Let's keep that. Then there is evaporation of rainwater, no. Condensation of water vapor, no. The correct answer here is option B, freezing of super cold water droplets. So this is what lead to hailstones. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about Miyawaki Forest. Now Miyawaki Forest is in news because this particular forest in Chennai, it is currently facing neglect, littering as well as misuse. The public, they are reporting lot of open defecation, plastic and liquor waste, and antisocial activities happening around the Miyawaki Forest. While this is on one side, on the other side, these forest has been taken up by certain NGOs, and it has been well maintained. A very good example is this Kasturiba MRTS region. So this is what the news is about. But learning about Miyawaki forest is very important from both prelims as well as mains perspective. So let us learn what is this Miyawaki method. See, Miyawaki method is nothing but afforestation method. It is developed by Dr. Akira Miyawaki in 1970s. So when we talk about afforestation methods, usually what we will be doing is we will be placing plant saplings with a distance, right? This is how the afforestation actually happens. But this method is completely different. So what the method does is they will be choosing the native trees of that particular region. They will be placing all the native plants very closer. So they will be placing it in a very small area and it will be placed very closer. So this will mimic the natural forest as well as it will be suitable for smaller urban or degraded areas. So these forests, what happens in few years is within 2 to 3 years, what will happen is they will become self-sufficient in nature with very minimal maintenance. So these kinds of methods, especially these kinds of afforestation method, it can be used in urban areas because the space is very low, but we can also develop a forest in the area. So that is why we are using it in the urban areas. Now moving on, let us see about the key features of the Miyawaki method. Firstly, dense. As I said, the plants, the saplings will be placed very closer. Multi-layered plantation. So there will not only be shrubs. There will be, here you can see that there will be shrubs. There will be a sub-tree layer. There will be tree layer as well as there will be a canopy layer. So everything will be mixed. So this is a very important feature of this Miyawaki technique. Then there is native species only. Only the native species will be taken because the result will be exponential. So only for that reason the native species has been taken. Thirdly, no need for fertilizer or watering after 2 to 3 years. Only 2 to 3 years you have to give some maintenance to that forest. After 2 to 3 years, they will sustain themselves. They will be creating their own ecosystems. Okay, and finally, it will encourage rapid natural growth with ecological balance. So these are very key features of Miyawaki technique. Now talking about the core principles, these are just repetition of the points as I said. Firstly, native biodiversity enhancement. This will be supporting the ecological balance. Secondly, high dense plantation. So the fast canopy closure will be there as well as weed suppression will be there. Thirdly, there will be soil enrichment. So, since the forest will naturally add the organic compost as well as microbes will be added to the soil, which will in turn enrich the soil present there. And fourthly, mulching will be happening, which will retain moisture as well as increase the soil fertility. And finally, only initial maintenance is required. That too only for first 2 to 3 years. Now moving on, let us talk about the benefits of Miyawaki forest. Firstly, the rapid growth. So this will actually mature in 20 to 30 years, which is 10x times faster than any normal afforestation method. So we are getting faster results. So this is the first benefit. Secondly, it will boost biodiversity. It will support birds, insects as well as wildlife. See, what happens when we develop a forest like this in urban area is that you unknowingly develop a forest in another area because birds, they will be pollinating as well as they will be acting as a seed dispersal. They will be disposing the seeds in other areas as well. So what happens is in urban area itself a lot of trees will be growing which will be like a positive effect. Thirdly, the carbon sequestration. This is a very important thing. The urban climate will be mitigated. The urban climate impacts will be mitigated by this Miyawaki forest. Then it will improve soil health. It will make the soil fertile, organic, rich base, as well as it will reduce pollution, filters dust as well as sound, and it will give better water management. So it will enhance rainwater absorption because the mulching process, it will absorb even more water, which will lead to increased rainwater storage. And finally, temperature regulation. This is a very important thing. Urban areas are now turning into heat domes. A lot of heat domes are there, and urban area are becoming heat islands. Urban heat islands are there, and heat waves are hitting us too hard these times. So they will help in regulating the temperature, and they will combat the urban heat island effect. So, based on the things we have discussed, I have created a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. Which of the following are benefits of the Miyawaki method? Here, four statements are given. First statement says enhanced carbon sequestration. Second statement says reduction in urban heat island effect. Third statement says high biodiversity and rapid forest growth. And fourth statement stays dependence on chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Here we can obviously delete this fourth statement. If you don't know the exact meaning of this Miyawaki method, then only you have to confuse about the fourth statement. If you know the exact meaning, then you can clearly eliminate this fourth option, and the correct answer here is option A, 1, 2, and 3 only. So these learned points. Now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. The news is that two Maoists with high bounties were killed in an encounter with security forces in Jharkhand. So here, learning about Maoism and how they are causing a threat to internal security of our country is very important. So let us learn about Maoism from the mains perspective. See, Maoism is actually a far left ideology. So if you are taking a political prism, there will be a neutral path and there will be a far left ideology as well as far right ideology. So the far left ideology is usually taking up the revolutionary path, which includes using arms to attain a particular thing. So this particular Maoism is actually based on Mao Zedong's teachings. Mao Zedong is nothing but a person. He is actually a Chinese revolutionary politician who led to the creation of Republic of China. So here, this particular Maoism in India, it advocates armed peasant revolution, and the goal is to bring in classless communist society. So they are active in tribal as well as forested region in our country, and it is known as a far left. And it is known as left wing extremism (LWE). So they stand here. Maoism actually stand in the far left side. And there are a lot of difference between the Maoism and Naxalism. Naxalism is it is located within our country, the boundaries of our country. So it is an altered form of Maoism. Maoism is actually a global level of thing. It is a broader ideology, but Naxalism is Indian movement which is influenced by Maoism, and it is used. It is often used interchangeably, but contextually they are different. Remember that. Now moving on, talking about the origin of Maoism, it began in Naxalbari in West Bengal in 1967. So here you can actually see the highest affected area as well as the moderately affected and marginally affected areas. And this particular Maoism in India is actually inspired by, also inspired by Marxist Leninist ideas. So talking about their ideology, they are anti-capitalist, meaning they don't want the capitalist companies to be leading the people. They are anti-state. They don't want a democracy. They want to rule by themselves, which means people should rule them, and protracted people's war. It is nothing but getting the support of the local people and striving to overthrow the government that is established there and bring in the people's government. And there is agrarian revolution as well as land redistribution as the main ideology. Then rural poor mobilization for support of the ideology, and rejects the parliamentary democracy. So moving on, talking about the key factors which led to origin of this movement in our country. First thing is land ownership and inequality. See, what happened after independence is lot of land distribution was there, but the land distribution was unequal, which led to lot of strife among the people, especially among the peasants who were not owning land for a century. So here the land reforms, it favored only the big landowners, which is a very big grief for the people. Secondly, social and economic marginalization. So the tribal and lower caste communities, they are sidelined even when there are modern developments has been brought in. So the lack of access to resources and services are the second important reason for the rise of this movement. Thirdly, political marginalization. See, the people are excluded from the political processes, and this leads to their voicelessness. So, both has led to the political marginalization, which is a very important reason. And finally, government's neglect and crackdown. So they have ignored the rural as well as tribal areas since it is being too much of complex things, and there is harsh military actions has been taken without calling for a harmony or peaceful coexistence. So these are all certain reasons which led to the rise of the movement. So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to eliminating the Maoist insurgency. Let us see them one by one. Firstly, the unnoticed or the unleft historical injustice and marginalization. The tribal as well as the Dalit communities, they have faced long-standing social and land-related injustice, which is hard even today to eliminate. And there is underdevelopment and poor governance. See, there are a lot of infrastructure. There is no proper infrastructure and weak governance. So this is actually fueling the discontent in the remote areas. And there is organized insurgency, but the response to the organized insurgency is very limited. This is actually leading to the profound impact of the movement itself. And there is control over resource rich regions. Maoists, they are exploiting mineral rich area for funding as well as strategic advantages. It is not actually leading to nation's growth. So this is a very big challenge. And finally, erosion of public trust. See, there is a failure of delivery on promises, as well as there is gaps in rehabilitation. So this is also causing a erosion of public trust on the government, which is also weakening or bringing a challenge to suppress this movement. So these are all certain important challenges. Now moving on, there are certain important combat missions that you have to remember. Let us go through them one by one. So the first is the flagship development schemes. For example, we have PM Gram Sadak Yojana, where roads has been laid to develop connectivity between the rural as well as the urban areas. And there is aspirational district programs. See, certain districts, even though they are resource rich, they could not perform well in terms of economy. So what government has done is they have chosen certain districts, and special attention has been given to those kinds of districts. So that is what aspiration district programs is about. The main important aspect of it is housing and targeted development. There are certain schemes like that, and that is targeted skill development. For example, Roshni scheme. In this, they are focusing on youth, especially women, and there is tribal youth exchange program where social integration efforts has been taken, and lot of infrastructure as well as governance improvement has been brought in. For example, the Eklavya school, which is tribal education residential schools, and there is digital Bharat Nidhi where mobile towers in LWE areas have been brought in. So here in this map you can see a lot of red areas or the red corridors. It has been shrinked recently, which is a very positive sign. So based on the things we have discussed, I have created a mains question for you. Let me read out the question. Development is the most potent weapon to tackle left-wing extremism in India. Critically examine. So you have to write positives as well as negatives of this particular statement, and you have to conclude with the way ahead. So write an answer and post it in the comment section so that we can review your answer as well as your peers can review it. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this article. This article talks about the recent spike in COVID-19 cases in major cities. For example, in Delhi there are 23 cases, in Mumbai 100 plus cases, and Bangalore there are 15 active cases. So based on this, the state government has also issued advisory. Let us see them one by one. Firstly, they have asked the hospitals to ensure the availability of beds, oxygen plants as well as concentrators, and maintain essential medical stocks. And they have asked the hospitals to ensure testing facility readiness, and they have asked the hospitals to submit daily reports to the health department. So these are certain advisory, health advisory that has been issued to the hospitals around the state as well as around the country. So here we have to understand what is the reason behind the recent spike. See, the first important thing is the seasonal rise in respiratory infections. See, the pre-monsoon time is actually a good period for any microbe to grow. So this has led to the spike of the COVID-19 cases. Secondly, the Omicron subvariant, it is actually in circulations, but due to the climatic changes and the current favorable condition for the microbe to grow, it is actually becoming a concern. And thirdly, relaxation of the COVID-19 precautions, we have relaxed it currently, and waning immunity from the prior infection or vaccination. So we have already built immunity through vaccination and even through prior exposure to the particular infection. But currently, the immunity could have forget the fighting mechanism, which is leading to the waning out of immunity system as a whole. So these might be the reasons behind the spiking of COVID-19 cases recently. Now moving on, let us talk about the health impacts of COVID-19. Firstly, it will cause mostly mild symptoms, and no severe cases has been reported. And children, including infants, has also affected in some cities, and no hospital has been recorded for overloading. So here comes the question, what can be done to combat this particular infection before turning into a epidemic or a pandemic? So we have to enhance the surveillance. We have to record the cases, how it is spreading. We have to decode it, and for that we can even use the genome sequencing, and we can use the data from the World Health Organization. And secondly, we have to bring in the public awareness campaigns and on prevention as well as vaccination. So this will help in a longer run. And thirdly, we have to bring in healthcare preparedness as well as staff readiness. And that is why the state has issued a certain advisory. And finally, the policy level intervention for public behavior should be initiated. So all these can keep the issue under control. So with this, we came to the end of the news article discussion. If you like the video, hit like, do comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Now thank you so much for listening.